and it's a frivolous suit, you could probably get attorney's fees. So like, that's, but yes, no, I agree with you. It is just the like Rachel Zoe Bethenny mindset of like, and I've always said this on my show, like, you don't know who I am. Like, for all Bethenny knows, you are a trust fund baby. You are worth, $40 million. She doesn't know. Right? Like, it's possible, maybe perhaps
Yes.
you're not, but I don't like you're doing this because you feel this person could be beat into submission because you feel they're poor or have less money than you. Let's just put it that way. And
Yeah.
she doesn't know. You could be right. You just don't know. And that's the problem that I have with these scenarios. Me.
Yeah. And I totally agree. And I think, I think the thing about social media now is you can probably look at my social media and say, oh, she's probably not super wealthy and she's probably not super connected. So I can probably take advantage of that a little bit. But I think what people are underestimating is like, I'm not stupid.
Right. And there are a lot of people have strange, like, you don't know someone's true principles of like, no, I'm gonna fight this, like, I'm
Right.
gonna go bankrupt, or I don't know how, but I'm not going down without a fight. So you just don't know, right?
Right.
I mean, listen,
Totally.
nobody wins in a lawsuit except for the damn lawyers. Okay,
Right. That's such a good way of putting it.
it's true. So I mean, are you like, so would you think Bethenny was involved too? Like Rachel, like, was she aware of this, or was this more of her team? Like, same type of question.
I mean, she made a couple of videos about it after it happened because I came out and said it. Most of which she deleted. Like one of the videos was like, and they weren't accurate, but like one of the videos was like, just basically like her in a bathrobe yelling like, if you want to take a shot at this bee, you better be ready. And you're like, that I don't think your legal team would think that video is a good idea. Like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously,
Yeah.
I don't have a legal team, but I feel like if you were like, yeah, I'm going to sue this girl, but right now I'm going to film a video responding in my bathrobe where I yell that, like, most lawyers would be like, yeah, don't do that. Like, don't talk about it if you're actually going to sue her. Like, wouldn't you say, like, you should be quiet?
Yes.
But I think some of them, like to your point, like can't help it. So she did delete those. I will say, like, when I saw that one, I had a panic attack. Like I was like, oh my God, she's in her bathroom screaming. Like, like that's scary.
I mean, so are you like, where are you now with all this? Like, listen, it's like, it's like battle armor. Like, you've had two, like, are those the only two cease and desists you've had? I mean,
Yeah.
that's enough. I'm not, but so like, are
Yeah.
you now more scared, or are you like getting you do something to someone, like you look at like an Erica Jane who's now like, yeah, I'm bouncing back. I mean, I've been living this hell. So like, once you're actually living the hell, you only can go up from there. Like, are you now like, all right, send me a cease and desist? I've been through this before, honey? Or is it like, well, nobody really wants that ever.
Right. The thing is like people don't understand that even if it's nothing, and you can probably relate to this, even if you get one, you're like, oh God, I don't want to deal with this, like, so now I know the things to say, even though I had kind of been doing some of those things already. I know the things to say to kind of protect myself with like allegedly and in my opinion. Right. So that helps me. The other thing I think is people are like, oh, she kind of knows what she's doing now. So like, I don't think I'm as easy of a target. Like, I know kind of how to spring into action. And then the other thing that I would say is I look at things really differently now. So even when I'm starting a deep dive, that's in the back of my mind. For example, I was doing a deep dive I'll actually tell you, I was doing a deep dive on peoplehood, which is a kind of like talk therapy space. It's not therapy, but it's like these guided conversations from the founders of Soul Cycle. And to me, it has several red flags. And if, people probably remember Soul Cycle is the like almost cult like spin place.
Yeah.
So I was doing a
Just
deep
still
dive.
out there, and people still,
Right.
it's a cult-ish. Yeah.
Totally. And like, listen, I love a good spin class, so I get it. But this is like interesting because it's really kind of taking the formula of Soul Cycle and where the instructor was kind of like uplifted but like turning it into these like gatherings of connection. I don't necessarily think that all of that's bad, but there's just some red flags to me about the company. And so I was doing a deep dive on that, and it's all still up there and out there, but someone very closely connected to the company started trolling me on an account that I was able to, like, within minutes figure out was connected back to the company. That scared me. And I was
Like
like, all
trolling
right,
you what? Like just watching everything or also leaving
no, like
comments?
commenting. And I was like, oh, this is somebody who's very connected to the company. And I, if that's what's happening, I don't want to go any further. So I stopped. Like, I was like, I'm not going to take them down, but I was like, I'm going to stop.
That's the thing. I feel the same way you do. It's more like, it's not that I can't fight this or I'm scared. It's like I physically just don't want to deal with this today. Like I just, and I don't want to deal with it tomorrow. Because like the thing to me is like, and I always say this, like if there's a business aspect. So if you're going to go up against Bethenny and somehow, you're going to get $1 million somehow from this, let's go. But if at the end of the day, this is just going to be a bunch of noise and it's not going to help your business or anything, you're like, well, what was all that for? It might actually cost me money, but even if it doesn't make me money, it's just like a big waste of my mental energy. That's the problem
Right.
with these things.
I agree. And, what's so funny is when I was doing the People Hoods, deep dive, I had found articles. I can't remember if it was New York Times or one of those where, they had done a review of it. And a lot of mental health professionals, licensed mental health professionals, had been like, this place is a red flag. So there's always something interesting to me when somebody who is a professional or a newspaper or something puts out something, and I'm like, do you guys like go at the journalists this hard? Like what you consider to be like real journalists, or I don't consider myself a journalist, or do you go at the New York Times this hard? Cause I'm just kind of saying similar stuff. But I think like when you can connect it to a real person that you can directly comment on, it's a whole different ballgame. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, and I feel that way, kind of like what you say. Like I've had people on, I get into problems, and again, I have a team, like it's a middleman, but it's still where like someone will be like, "Can David edit this?" And I will say pretty much what you just said. I'm like, you would never ask Andy Cohen to edit this out. You would never ask Kelly Ripa or Live with Ryan Seacrest or Howard Stern. So like the answer is no. Like we're not
Right.
editing out a 20-minute conversation about Lisa Vanderpump and all these horrible things you said about her when you're on the show called Vanderpump Rules. Why did you say all this? I mean, it's on a Zoom. I mean, even if it's so, you wouldn't ask Andy. You wouldn't. So I have the same mentality of what you just said of like, you wouldn't ask. It's because you feel, all right, well, David will do it. No. And in the beginning I did, like maybe my
Sure.
first, and now it's like the answer is 99% now.
Right.
It just
Yeah. And
is. I mean,
I mean,
why did you say this? I mean, what do you want from me?
yeah. And it's like, if you want to bring people the most authentic experience too, are there certain